Greetings and welcome. You are in the zone, the Biz Info Zone. Hi, I'm Lynn Hawkins. I'm your host. I'm the founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, and I am so excited to have our guest here today to talk about an important subject for all of us small business owners, reputation marketing. And as you well know, if you're here, you've been here in the zone, this is the place for the savvy social entrepreneur to basically express your purpose. Wait a second. We are recording, but we're not showing up out here. Okay. All right, there we go. I just had to make sure that we were out there and broadcasting to the world, and we are. So once again, welcome to the zone where the savvy social entrepreneur gets to express their purpose, plan their next moves. Strategy is key, but strategy is nothing but an idea unless it goes with implementation. And then through that implementation, you're increasing profits. And one of the things that I've been really on, I'll call it a rant about, is the one thing. What is the one thing that you are good at, that is the center of all that you do, that is the thing that's going to bring you clients and customers, that's going to attract your perfect clients and customers? And how do you set yourself up to manage that so that it gives you the greatest amount of traction? Reputation marketing is one of those ways. And our guest today is JOSEF Mack. I could tell you so much about this guy. As a matter of fact, I'm ecstatic that he's here with us today because JOSEF recently had some major things happen to him. And he's back. He's getting himself back into the swing of things. After 7.5, almost 8 weeks in the hospital, he's been home recuperating, and he's making his way back into his area of expertise of reputation marketing. And he's in southeastern Michigan. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. With a background in managing teams of engineers working on new technologies. He's been explosive in the internet world, helping to help entrepreneurs establish their online presence, manage and grow their online presence. He's CEO of 5-Star Vision, which focuses on reputation marketing. A business or an individual's reputation is most important asset that they have. And that's a quote from him. And he also says today, when people are searching for businesses online to either buy a product or services, they'll frequently Google it. And when they do, their buying decisions are based on the reviews and the information that others have left about their business. JOSEF's goal is for each client to bring their online reputation to a 5-star rating through straightforward strategies. And he's got one of those he's got a couple of those straightforward strategies for you. So without further ado, I'm going to post his bio in the event page. And I want to just say welcome. Thanks for being here today, JOSEF. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your kind words. I really do appreciate them.
Absolutely.
The element of reputation, I think, is something that a lot of people have either chosen to ignore or just flat out aren't aware of the consequences. And I think, one of the examples that I've used many times is, we all know kind of what the Taj Mahal is in India. It's a beautiful structure. It's a beautiful building. And, it's built on a solid foundation. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. And when you think about it, if our business, if our individuality isn't built on a solid foundation of a reputation, then we don't really have much of anything, because people want to deal with businesses and people that they know they like, and they trust. And I mean, there's just so much. I mean, we've got an hour, and we'll hit the tip of the iceberg in that time as far as reputation marketing and what it really means and what it can do for people.
Well, Joseph, tell us, how did you get on this journey to providing this service, this valuable service for entrepreneurs? Was there a single event? Did you evolve into this? Tell us a little bit about the story behind how you got in this space.
Well, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I've always been interested in electronics and computers. I've built several of them myself. And the internet started going, and I kind of got involved there. And as time marched on, I got involved in websites. I was a fairly early adopter of a smartphone, and I started to see the benefit and the value there. And I was one of the early ones to basically, my tagline was "Go mobile or go broke." I also have local mobile marketing, CHBS, which I was trying to get people to recognize that things are going to be going mobile because we're carrying computers in our pockets with a lot of power. And as we have that, one of the things that I picked up on was that Google kind of changed their strategy as to their future direction. They, I don't know the best way to put it, but they had some kind of a big meeting where they all huddled together and said, where are we going? And they figured out that local businesses really needed some help. And so they started putting their focus on local businesses. And Maps was a really big thing when the application started to come out. And then when the smartphones started to come out, you could use GPS on them, and you could figure out where you were, where you wanted to go, etc. And so Google and some of the others started to figure out that they could put pins on a map, show people where a business was, and then they could actually put information about the business, their hours of operation, their telephone number, their address. And then when you looked at it, you could actually tap on the telephone number on a map and make a phone call. So it was making the user experience a whole lot easier instead of somebody having to go do a search for the phone number, remember the phone number, or heaven forbid, be trying to write the phone number down as they're driving, which, again, that and text messages not recommended while you're driving. But the reality is there was so much power that came out of all of this and so much information, and people started to leave comments for businesses or for things that they didn't like or that they did like. Typically, the complaints are longer and more precise than, they did a good job and I had a good meal and that kind of a thing. But, people started to really use that and make some buying decisions around it. We can talk more about what, those consequences have been, but they've been significant. And one day I found out about BNI, Business Networking International, and I went to a meeting and I joined, and I'm the business that does reputation marketing as well as building websites and mobile websites for the members, as well as any business that comes along that wants and or needs help. And one of the businesses in that group was a salon. And I got to talking with the stylist, and she introduced me to the business owner. And as it turned out, they needed a new website. So I went and checked their presence online, and I found a review that, I got to tell you, even though I'm not a lady, having read that review, I seriously would probably never have gone to that salon. But it was left by a young bride talking about her experience at the salon, and it got to be almost a tear-jerking kind of a story. And when I talked to the owner about it, long story short, we were able to end up getting that bride. She put the review up a year and a half later. We got her to take the review down and actually send a letter of apology to the salon. And when I started to see the potential power in what could be done to help businesses, I thought, this is something that I could really get into to help businesses to improve their reputation, fix issues that they may or may not have, or to even just flat out start to develop a 5-star reputation. So that's kind of part of where I got involved in getting started.
Well, I appreciate that story because I think that there are a lot of us who wonder, how am I being perceived out there, and how is it that I can bring either more good attention to me, or, bottom line, just getting started, I just want some attention being paid to me. And I know that, when you talk about reputation marketing, many of us have the marketing concept in eyesight. And how do you do your marketing with a strategy around reputation marketing that yields what it is that you're talking about, the ability for you to help people the way that you have?
Well, Lynn, you bring up a very interesting issue and point. Years ago, people talked about reputation management. Well, management is part of the marketing strategy, and there's a number of different aspects and facets to the marketing. There's emails, there's postcards, there's flyers, there's running specials. There's a number of different strategies that businesses can use. But in the day and age of where we are right now, I guess I'm going to say that the social aspect is a huge one. And the challenge, or I guess my biggest challenge I have with my clients is some of them want to do it all themselves. And what that basically turns out to be is that they don't do anything because they get overwhelmed with all of what's out there. I think I've shared with you before, I have an 8.5 by 11 page in rather small print that shows all of the different review sites. I mean, there's Google, there's Yelp, there's Bing, there's Yahoo, there's TripAdvisor, there's one for brides, there's a number of them for real estates, a number of them for attorneys, a number of them for automobiles, sales, and so on. I mean, there's review sites, hundreds of them that are out there. I do believe in the 80-20 rule, and that means that Google, Yelp, Yahoo, Bing are probably the ones that I focus on, with Google being number one, because there's a new term in our language, and that's Google it. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but when you type a letter in Word and use the word Google, if you don't capitalize the G, it gives you a typo, because it's now a proper word. It's deserving of being capitalized, I guess you will say. And so people are going out there and they're Googling things. They're in a store, they're Googling to compare price, or they're driving down the street and tell the passenger, hey, go Google a place to eat. And when you see some place that has 2 stars or 3 stars versus the 4 or 5 stars, which one would you rather go to? Not knowing anything other than what you're seeing. And there's a whole lot of discussion about people's opinions as to, are the reviews real, legitimate, or not. But Nielsen, the guys that do the reviews for television programs and so on, the ratings, a couple of years ago they did a survey, which I have a copy of their findings, if you will. It showed that 72% of the people trust an online review as much as if a friend or relative gave it to them. Now, I have that data, but that's been like 3 to 4 years old. I've recently been told or heard that the number is upwards of 80, 85% now, and growing. Because the bottom line is, a smartphone today costs as much as a regular flip phone did 4, 5, 6 years ago. So the power that we have within our hands to do our own research is huge. And so people, if they don't know any better, they trust an online review or the online reviews as if, like I say, a friend or relative gave it to them. And there's a number of different places to start. You're right about starting. I mean, it's like somebody who, is trying to get an employment or a job, and the employer says, "What's your experience?" And they say, "Well, I don't have any. I'm looking to get some." And that potential employer says, "Well, go get the experience and then come back and we'll talk." I mean, most every employer says that. So where do you start out? Where do you go? Well, when it comes to reputation marketing, you kind of start at the beginning. You kind of start with, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're about? Are you really truly a five-star business? I have one slide that I've shown a number of times that shows a Google printout or a Google review listing of a business that had 416 negative reviews about their business. And what I would say to people when I would show that slide is, would any of you want to be number 417? I don't even comprehend how they could get 416 negative reviews unless they were the only ice cream shop in Death Valley. I mean, if they had a monopoly, then yeah, I could understand that. But when you think about it, what's going on with something like that? And then there's a business that's got 20 or 50 or 100 five-star reviews. And I'm fortunate myself to have 24 five-star reviews for what I've done with businesses and clients and people. But when you think about it, I've heard people say, well, they got 100 five-star reviews. I bet they're all fake. Well, there are some businesses that do really good and cater to their clients and customers and do provide five-star service. I mean, that's why we have five-star hotels. And I think if I'm not mistaken, in Dubai, they've now got a six-star hotel. So, people want that quality.
And I think, as individuals who work hard for what it is that we have and what it is that we do, we deserve that. And so it's not beyond us to search for the five-star. And even in that respect, I think that, well, let me ask you this question. What is the level that is considered really good while it may not be five-star?
Well, I guess I'm going to answer that this way. When I first heard my reputation mentor talk about five-star, to me it was pretty simple. That's 5.0. That's what five-star meant to me at the time. But when you get into mathematics, you've got the decimal place, you've got the rounding up and so on. So when you get right down to it, 4.5 and above would be considered five-star. Now, the difference between 4.5 and 4.6, that can be upwards of 4 or 5% additional business for the extra 1/10%. And somebody who's got a 4-star versus somebody who has a 5-star, that can be upwards of 10, 15 plus %. And so when you take a look at what's going on, it depends on what people read in terms of the reviews. I give you an example again, going back to the salon. They got a review where this individual left a review that basically said, while I was in the salon sitting under the hairdryer, I heard my stylist and another stylist talk about the people in the salon, how shabbily they were dressed, their love lives, blah, 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 blah. Well, many years ago, I was getting perms, and that invariably meant that I sat underneath the hairdryer. Well, I couldn't hear somebody 2 inches away from me. Now, I have been told that hairdryers have gotten quieter, but still, the other interesting thing about this individual was the salon went back into their records for 18 months and could not find her listed or shown up as being a client or a customer. Now, stylists and salons keep pretty good records, so you kind of got to wonder, because you see, I could go in right now and go to any business in the world that has a, I'll say, Google listing, and I could leave a review, regardless if I've ever been there, know anything about them, and I could leave them a 5-star or 1-star. And unless somebody comes back and challenges it, it stands. So the point is, I was ready to go and comment back to this woman about how is it that you can do this, and you couldn't hear anything. And I thought, I'm not going to do that, because to me, any woman that, and maybe some guys too, but I've talked to a number of people about use the story, and it's true, and they've all said basically they look at me quizzically and kind of say like, how do you hear anything when you're sitting under a dryer in a salon? So to me, that review is pretty much a bogus review that a competitor or whoever left. So when you start looking at the ratings, I think one of the things that is of value is to look at the reviews that are behind the ratings. You got the disgruntled employee. Now, Google does have a little checkbox that you can leave as to whether this review is appropriate or not. And when that box gets checked, they actually have a human being check out why it was checked and what the review is. Now, this is something that most people don't know, but there's only two ways that a review can be changed or deleted. Number one, if the review has obscenities or four-letter words, whatever, and the review system, the review site, picks up on those words. They have filters in place where they will check for certain words. But if somebody comes out and writes, for example, FFFFF, you get my point. Those robots can't pick up on that. But if somebody just uses a four-letter word, they can, and then the review site on their own will eliminate that review. Makes sense. Children go out and check out reviews or do things, so they want to protect themselves. The second way is if the individual that left the review, kind of like the bride that I was talking about, if the individual that left the review decides that they want to change it or they want to eliminate it or delete it, they can. Those are the only two ways. The business owner can't delete a review. The best a business owner can do is get more positive reviews, which will push the negative one down. But at the end of the day, it still comes out in the score. And so if somebody doesn't look to see what's going on, they may just trust the number and go on to the next business. So right now, business owners and individuals need to recognize that their reputation truly is the most important asset they have. If you're walking down New York's Fifth Avenue and you see a building that's all marble, all glass, gold inlay, it's a beautiful looking building, but you do a Google search and they've got a 2-star reputation, are you going to go in there? It's not the outer appearances. I mean, I've gone into places that if I would have gone in there or looked at it myself, I'd have never gone into, because it just looked like a shack. But they've had some of the best sandwiches or some of the best product that I've ever run across, but their outward appearance didn't look like it, but yet their reputation spoke louder than what the appearance of the building looked like. So reputation is huge.
It really is. And I love what you're saying about, the weight and value that these reputation statements actually have. And, one of the things that I've observed is there are some places that may have this 4.2 rating versus someone else having that 4.7 or even a 5-star. And the 4.2 has, say, 27 reviews that bring them to that status versus the 5-star that only has 2 reviews. So talk to us about, applying the strategy to bring yourself to really understanding what these remarks and reputation comments really mean. Because if you only have 2, what should you do to kind of further your investigation? So I guess there's 2 parts to that question. One being the comparison aspect. And with that kind of a comparison scenario, which one would you choose? And then the other thing is, if you are this new business, you've got 2 great reviews, then what can someone else look at besides that, because they only see 2 reviews?
Well, you bring up some excellent points there. And the reality is the best answer I can give you, you're not going to be surprised here, it depends. What got them the 4.2? Did they mess up? Did they have an employee that came in drunk or just didn't take care of the customer? See, that's one of the things that's very critical is when somebody gets a review and the review is, I'll say, less than stellar, then the question becomes, what do they do? And one of the things that Google and others have put in place is that the business owner that claims their listing can actually go in and respond to the review. Now, if you go out and do a Google search and you look at the page, you'll see a spot where there'll be a little symbol and it has the word verified, and that says that the business owner has verified that listing. And I've seen some businesses that will respond to the negative reviews. I respond to every single review, because if all you do is respond to the negative, then it looks like all you're doing is trying to do damage control. But if you respond to everyone, even the good one, thanking them for the review, so at that point, if the business owner goes in, like the one with the lady under the hairdryer, I suggested to the business owner that she respond to that and basically say, hey, we're sorry you apparently had this experience. We don't want to acknowledge the experience because it may or may not be true. And in that case, not seeing that she was a client would have been a little bit inappropriate to do. We'd like you to come on in so that we can talk about what happened and see what we can do, because that's not the way that we roll around here. Something must have happened. We don't know. We just want to see what we can do so we can learn from it and fix it. And when people read a comeback like that, they take a look at the review that was left, be it a 2-star or 3-star, in a different light than if there's no comment. And then you get into the one where the business owner comes back and says, hey, you moron, you don't know what you... Well, now all of a sudden it's adversarial, and people read that and they're like, man, do I want to deal with this business owner? So years ago when it first started out, you would see things like the star rating and by a Google user or a Yelp user. Now the story is important. And the bigger, the better, the longer the story, people get a better idea of what's going on. And so I would advise people to leave nice, long, good stories and not just the complaining stories. And so when you start taking a look at what's going on there, that's where you have to differentiate. And if all you got is 2 reviews, then the first question I would ask is, was that brother, aunt, uncle? Was it a relative? Why only 2? How long have you been in business? Because one of the things that, you asked me for 5 strategies. Well, my first strategy for everyone is ask for a review. You can't ask for a good review. You can't say, please leave me a 5-star review and then offer them something or whatever is considered as a bribe. But you can't say, please leave me a review. Now, implied in that, you wouldn't ask somebody to leave you a review if you thought they were going to leave you a 1 or 2-star review. So even though you didn't say it, it's kind of implied, hey, I'd appreciate if you left me a review. And then, make sure that your employees, if you have them, understand what it means. Because again, going back to my salon, I have a lot of salon stories. There was a customer that came in, the stylist, I'm going to use the word messed up, and then the person left a bad review. The owner contacted him, tried to make it right, and while she was working with the client to see what she could do, the stylist walked up and basically tried to defend herself and say that no, she wasn't wrong. And so all of the positive work that the owner did got blown away by the stylist trying to defend herself. So, I mean, there's, it's human interaction. It's, how we deal with people. And, if you go in and treat them in a right, good way, then they'll sometimes forgive what happened, or you invite them back and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but so and so, it was his fifth time they came in with a hangover, and I had to let him go. And come on back, and we'll show you that that's not the way that we operate here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a number of different ways of looking at it. And I know one person I talked to said, well, I look at the 20 reviews, I throw out the top one and I throw out the bottom one, and I look at the rest. Well, that's one strategy, figuring the bottom one was given by an enemy or a competitor, and the top one was given by a relative. Well, the review sites are very paranoid about the whole process because there's really no control that they have other than, somebody coming in and complaining, or somebody coming in and saying, hey, this wasn't appropriate. And not all review sites are the same. I think Google is a bit fairer than another review site that I can think of, but I won't mention their name, but they do have 4 letters to them, and it's not enough. In any case, their approach, it starts with a Y. Their approach has been, well, hey, we get negative reviews too. It's just life. Deal with it. Well, yeah, but if it's not deserved, how does the business owner or the individual come back and prove that it wasn't appropriate or wasn't right? And then, when people build rapport with their customers, they get to know them a little bit. They have some conversation with them. At that point, the person buying or the person doing business with them feels differently about them than they just go in and plop their money down and walk out, and the business owner doesn't even look at them or, whatever. So, I mean, it's not an easy answer, but I will tell you this. More and more people are doing searches online, and they're reacting and responding to those reviews as if a friend or relative gave them to them. And so the whole social aspect of how we interact and getting more reviews. I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's actually 4 types of reviews. There's a good review and a bad review, and we know what those are. Then there's no review, and then there's a 5-star review. And I would challenge and say that a business that has no reviews is almost as bad as a business that has negative reviews, because people subconsciously will say, well, if nobody sought enough to leave them a review, then they must not be worth visiting or buying from.
I think it was the first time that I heard you actually say that I got it. And I think that that's key for business owners too, because, we may be in that space of, well, I'm doing my work and I know I'm doing great and people are telling me this. But if you don't have it evidenced, if it's not something that's written, that whether somebody sends it to you in an email and you say, can I use this on my website? Or could you go to Google Plus, find my business and leave a review? I mean, there's a certain disconnect there too in people really understanding the value in the no review. Because I have to admit, I had the reviews, I had people telling me, but I never actually got to the point where I was saying, wow, that's wonderful. Can you send me that in an email and can I put it on my website or anything like that? And I think it was the first time that I heard you describe these 4 types of reviews and the value of the no review, the perception of the no review, that I was like, okay, it's time to make a move here, because there are some great things that people say about other people, about businesses, and you can miss the boat if you're not collecting those and utilizing those to the best degree. And so I had another question for you. Do you want to say something real quick? Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I'm sorry, but you make a point, and I think it's important that everyone recognizes this. Putting reviews on your website, while it's of value, it's not as significant as the review that gets left online by someone who's gone to Google or the other review sites and left a review, because I can put anything on my website that I want. And I have actually put people's reviews on their website with a caveat underneath it that says, all these reviews are real and legitimate. And if you'd like to come into our office, we can show you the copy, the letter, the whatever of the review. Because that bride that I mentioned, she wrote the salon a letter apologizing for having left the review. Because when I talked to the salon owner, she said the bride left the salon that day smiling. So why would the salon owner ever have thought that she would have got a bad review out of it? So it's kind of important to recognize that having it on your website is a value. Having somebody actually go in and do it on their own account in Google on a review site means a whole bunch more. And it's crazy, but some people, I'll say us older generations, the baby boomers or whatever, there's some of them out there that really haven't taken to technology. And the reason they don't leave a review is because they don't know how to log in. They don't have a Google account. They don't do anything like that. And so therefore, the younger generation is, going crazy with it. I mean, they're texting, they're sending, they're doing whatever. And, it's really important. The other thing too
here's
is,
a question for you then. It's one thing to have these reviews and testimonials on your website, but you're saying that there's more value, more power in having the reviews that we're talking about on a review site, on a Google Plus, on a Yelp, on a Bing, on a Yahoo. How do we as entrepreneurs initiate that? Do we go one place and set it up so that we can direct people to that location? You're saying ask for the review, but should we be saying, can you go to such and such a place and leave a review?
well, the answer to that is a little bit complicated, because at the end of the day, people are out searching. They're out Googling. They're out Binging, Yelping, Yahooing, all right, even though we don't have those common terms. But when they're searching, things will come up. I'll give you an example. Several years ago, maybe 3 or 4, 5 years ago, Google had what they called a 10-pack. When you searched for something online, maps would come up and there would be 10 businesses or 10 elements that would show up. Then a couple, maybe a year and a half ago, Google took the 10-pack and made it a 7-pack. So only 7 would show up, the top 7. And, sometimes we ask the question, hey, how come this guy's got a 4.2 and he'd show up in the top 7, and somebody who's got a 5.0 shows up lower? Well, again, one rating with 5-star versus 20 ratings that come out to be 4.2, I would kind of lean to the 4.2 unless the 5.0 just started business a week or a month ago. So at the end of the day, you take a look at that, and now you went from 10, which was hard enough to get into the top 10, down to 7. And about 3 or 4 months ago, Google now made it a 3-pack. And they don't show the phone number. And so they're changing. And when you look at it from the outside, what it really looks like is Google is trying to get advertising money. So they're looking to make it more profitable and make it harder for people to get up in there. And so the reality is it's getting harder and harder to show up right in the face of somebody, because we all know that, a lot of people, with all due respect, people are lazy. They don't want to go through and, click 5 times or 10 times. They want to do 1 click or 2 click and have the answer. It's the magic pill. I mean, when was the last time you or I or any of your viewers now or in the future have gone beyond the first page of Google to look for something? Because we make the assumption that Google and the rest of the search engines really know what they're doing, and they're going to be bringing me the most relevant element that I need. And so why do I need to go any further? So we can't say, or there's no place that we can put down, hey, go look at my website and you'll find out all about me, because there's no way that we can create the same kind of credibility ourselves as individuals that a Google has over the years with their multi-billion-dollar assets to be able to do that. So people are going to be Googling it, and we got to figure out what it means, and how people are getting into the 3-pack, and what are people doing beyond that. And it's, like I say, it's a little bit complicated, but doing both is a good thing. I'm not saying don't put your reviews or your testimonials on your website. I'm just saying do what you can to get as many online reviews as you can.
So that's great to know, and to think about the fact that doing both is really the way to go. And I would imagine that's one of your strategies for enhancing your online reputation, is to go to the places where Google is going to find the review, because somebody saying something good about you on Facebook isn't necessarily going to do it. But someone saying something nice about you on your Google Plus business page in the review box is going to be what Google finds and treats as that review. Again, versus somebody making a post on Google Plus saying how wonderful you are. Is that correct?
Pretty much. And the thing is, again, there are a number of people that believe and focus on Facebook. God love them. They're there. Others focus on Google. But I go back again to the 80-20 rule. No one has ever said Facebook it. They say Google it. When there's an implied search, the majority of the people, I'm not saying all, but the majority of the people are Googling things. So therefore, the best answer I can give you is get exposed everywhere. Have input, have reviews on Facebook, have reviews on Yelp and Yahoo and Bing and the rest of them as well. But do what you can to get somebody to leave it on Facebook. And when you take a look at it too, there's all kinds of reviews. There's the written review, there's an audible review, there's a video review. And right now, video and reviews, or reputation, I should say, are the two biggest strategies that are out there in the online world. And you've heard the expression too that one picture is worth 1,000 words. So think about what a 1-minute or a 2-minute video would be worth compared to just a picture of 1,000 words.
I totally agree. And speaking of which, I know that's one of the things that you do, and you've done a video for me, and I didn't even think about it to the extent that I wanted to show the video. So I'm going to have to put the link in the comment section, because the reputation marketing video that we were able to put together, that you were able to put together for the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, I am totally and completely in love with. And when you're thinking about video and the value of video, we are in, you said it earlier, a mobile environment now. Even boomers who refuse to have the laptop and the desktop, and they're using iPads and tablets and smartphones now. And even where, the AARP is saying, turn in your flip phone and get a smartphone and get under the same program that we've got for your little flip phone. And, nowadays with technology, flip phones don't even work anymore, most of them. And so we have actually moved into the space of current technology and the smartphones and being able to see video right on your phone. And to the extent that video plays such a huge part in it, what are you doing in this space to help people to bring those reviews into video formats that are easy, that are affordable, that are pretty much quick turnaround too.
Well, the thing is that, again, video and reputation are the two hottest topics when it comes to business these days. And so I am working with a team of people that basically take reviews, and ideally, again, it'd be Google reviews, but they don't have to be. But we essentially present them in a manner and a format where it brings visually forward the, I'll say, impact of the review. And interestingly enough, I don't know if I want to admit this or not, but I'm not a real huge Facebook user because there's just only so many hours in the day. But the other day, I created a new video for myself for my 5-star vision company or business, if you will. And I put that up on Facebook, and I've already gotten, within like the first couple hours, I got 5 comments back, hey, congratulations, and so on and so forth. I'm not sure what they're going to come back with when I get the other 23 5-star videos done and put up. But, the whole thing is being out there, having fresh content. And, there's a number of websites there's a number of businesses that still don't have a website. Some that do have a website don't have any video on the website. And there's still a number of businesses that aren't mobile friendly. And Google is, I guess I'm going to say, slapping businesses that aren't mobile friendly and not ranking them as highly to come up in the search results. So the bottom line is, I think businesses need to get with the program and need to be out there, because if you don't do any advertising, if you don't have a billboard, if you don't, have something in your window about what you do or whatever, who's going to find you? Now we've got the online world, and people need to recognize what's going on. And that's why, I look at it and say, that's what I do. I do that work. I mean, I live on 22 acres with a 2-acre stretch of grass, and I don't cut my own grass. I pay the next door neighbor kid $30 and he cuts my 2 acres, and I don't have to get out with my push mower because he's got a riding mower. So at the end of the day, businesses need to focus on what their business is. And when it comes to the online world, the reputation, and so on, find somebody that knows what they're doing, that's up on the technology, and have them be the ones that are helping you get it out there and get exposed.
And I think that's key because, the value that we want is in the professionalism that we're able to show. And the videos and the things that others can do for us are sometimes so much better than what we can create for ourselves. It's very much like having the review on your website versus not being able to be found anywhere else. People will wonder, is that a legitimate review? And so being able to have a third party involved to validate the work that you're doing. If you got a review and somebody says you can use the review, and to have that company, your company, produce that for them. And I'm speaking to myself too. It just carries so much more weight, and it's powerful. It really is powerful. Now, I'm wondering if you are able to show the video that you did for me. Can you share your screen?
Well, let me see. I should be able to find it relatively quickly.
I sent you the link in chat. Because I want people to see that, when we are looking at the value that we bring to the world, we all know that third-party validation carries so much more weight. And one of the things that I have noticed from video is that people get to see the real space that you're in. And one of the things that I thought about in making the video for the P3 Academy was two things. One being that I'm now really in the space of my one thing being business acceleration. And in the space of business acceleration, you're talking about money, processes, people, and systems. Joint ventures is huge. Having the types of joint ventures that are easy and that are highly leverageable, in that they bring in the return on investment of time and dollars. And
Hey, Lynn,
yeah,
I apologize, but we got this thing playing in the background. I clicked on it, but I'm not sure that it's showing up on my screen that I can share it with.
if you click on the left-hand side, there's a green box with
Yeah.
arrow, the screen share button. That should do it.
I did, and the only thing that comes up are the two screens that are showing me on camera.
Okay, so the one that shows the video is the one you want to click on.
Whoa, that was interesting.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. That happens on occasion. I'm not sure what causes that, but Google Hangouts sometimes has that happen. So stop screen sharing. I put the link in the comments for our audience members to be able to click on and see it yourselves. So if you want to click on that, if you're out there watching with us and you want to click on that and maybe even turn the volume down for yourself, because it's key what the individual is saying in the video. So if you turn the volume down, you'll be able to see that. But this is just one example of what that type of review can look like. And I was just astounded by how professional it was, how it moved, the commentary by the professional that's standing there and bringing the review itself, how it showed up in the tablet, and it truly gives the feel for a 5-star review. And I've seen long ones, I've seen short ones. Mine, I love people who like to express themselves in words, and the review is full of really great words. I'm so grateful to have had that happen. And to know that too, to pick a scenery that goes along with my personality, because accelerated business development is like a fast car, and a fast car that moves on a track that really also gives you the opportunity to see a fast pace, yet a skilled driver knows when to slow down, knows when to pull up, knows when to speed up. And that's what business acceleration is for me as well. And if you want to, Joseph, click the green screen share button again. It'll bring you back and we can continue this conversation, because I really appreciate the fact that you've brought the concept and the conversation around reputation marketing into the Biz Info Zone today. And I know that you have something that you want to share with our audience. I'm going to let you take it away and give us the benefit of what you brought to us today.
Well, Lynn, everyone needs to know where they stand. And so I have a website that I'd like to share. And that website is my, M-Y, 5, F-I-V-E, star, S-T-A-R, reputation, reputation.com. My 5-star reputation.com. If they go there and put in their primary business phone number, it's got to be the business phone number that Google and the rest of the world would recognize as their business. If you put in your primary business phone number, it will go out and search the top, I'm going to say 8 or 10 review sites and give you a showing of any negative reviews that you have that are out there. So it's something to be able to know where you stand. A number of people don't even know where they stand. So how do they move forward? What do they do? So again, my 5-star reputation.com. And then the other thing that we talked about was the reputation review videos. They can go to the number 5, the word star, STAR, vision, VISION .TV for television. And they can see a couple examples, as well as if they're interested, they can actually order one for themselves. So did you want to put those in chat, or?
I'm actually writing them in the comments right now. And I love it because we do all know the value of video. And to understand that the value of video is enhanced by what the video brings to the world. And it's a leverage tool for your business. Get your reputation on video. Get your reviews on video, and allow people the opportunity to see deeper, a little more deeply into who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, how you're doing it, how satisfied your customers are, and that you can do something similar or even better for them. So with that, I want, if you would repeat the web addresses again. I'm going to finish this comment, and then I want to invite our audience. If you've got 5 minutes, come on in the green room and say hello to Joseph. Talk to us about what it is that you may have questions about as far as your reputation, and let us know if there's anything that you'd like for us to help you with, to steer you in the right direction, for answers to, and just join the conversation. Let's continue the conversation in the green room. So Joseph, those web addresses one more time, please.
Okay, the web address to find out what your reputation is, and that's a freebie, there's no cost, is My 5-Star Reputation, MyFiveStarReputation.com. The website for finding out more about reputation review videos is the number 5-star, STAR, vision, VISION.TV. It is my vision that I help as many businesses as possible to get 5-star reputations, to show what they're capable of and highlight their business.
Beautiful. And those are out there in the comments section. I've just posted the link to join us in the green room. So to our audience, thank you for being here with us today. I'm Lynn Hawkins. I'm your host, and I am just ecstatic about knowing that you have the power to increase your exposure and improve how people are perceiving you out in the marketplace with a reputation marketing video. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for joining us today on behalf of myself and my fabulous guest, Joseph Mack. Joseph, any last thing you want to say to our audience before we sign off today?
Just 2 things. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. And I'd like everyone to remember that your reputation is your most important asset.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our audience members. You know, the Biz Info Zone was created for you, the savvy social entrepreneur, to get these types of tools and information so that you can do bigger business and do more good in the world. So thanks again for joining us today. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. And next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we're doing a special show next week. Hope you'll be around to join us. And if not, catch the replay. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.